Well, we had a heck of a time trying to find a bike rack for the back of our RV for a couple of different reasons. A, it has to be rated for an RV.
Yes.
Because all the sway back here, you don't want it to sway too much and break off,
right off
and bounce down the highway. And B, we have electric bikes that weigh 65 pounds apiece.
Yeah.
So we had to have a rack that was weight rated for at least 130 pounds.
Yeah.
Well, this one is only rated for 120 pounds, but the batteries in the bikes are 7 pounds each.
Yeah.
So if you take the batteries out of the bikes,
you're good
now
to go.
we're this much below the 120 pound rating.
Right.
So we can get away with getting these bikes on this bike rack.
Yeah.
Completely safe, without doing any damage to the RV, without doing any damage to the bikes, and without putting anybody's life or property at risk in the process.
Right. True.
All right. So we're going to tell you all about this Thule T2 Pro XT2 bike hitch. I'm reading that off my phone because there's no possible way I'm going to remember that. I tried a couple of times and I just can't remember it, so I had to read it off my phone. But that's the model. We'll put a link down in the description below. We also have it in our Amazon shop if you want to go over there and look at it. We're going to show you all the features, all this stuff. And if you want to stick around until the end, we'll tell you a very funny story about this bike rack and how we had so many issues with getting it.
It's funny now. It wasn't funny then.
Yeah.
It wasn't funny at all then.
So if you just want to watch the stuff about the rack, we'll show that up front. If you want to hear the funny story, stick around until the end. We'll tell you a funny story. All right, there's a little handle here that helps you unload the bikes because the bikes are so heavy that it's hard to lift them from this high up. So what you can do is you can push this little handle and you can bring the angle of the bikes down, and that's going to help you get the bikes off lower to the ground without potentially dropping them or having to try to throw your back out lifting them up. Now, when you're mounting this to your RV, it's pretty simple. You just plug it into a 2-inch receiver. Just make sure this little hook right here hooks into the little hole, and then you'll notice how loose this is. Like, that's a lot of play in this hitch. So there's a little knob down here, and what it is on the inside of this hitch there's a little piece of metal, and as you turn this, it expands out and presses up against the inside of that hitch receiver and holds it more stable. So I'll turn this until it starts grabbing hold, and you can feel it starting to tighten up, starting to cinch down to the inside of that hitch receiver. So you just crank it down as hard as you can by hand, and then you put the key in, you turn it to the lock side like that, and now it's a theft deterrent. So anybody comes up here and tries to take this thing off, they can't do it unless they unlock it with the key and then release that tension. And now you can see how much play is in that rack. It doesn't hardly move at all. All right, when you first get your bike rack, it's going to come installed like this, and this strap is not long enough to go over a fat tire. So what you have to do is you have to uninstall this strap from this side, and you have to reinstall it from this side, and I'll show you how to do that. So basically all you have to do is grab a hold of this top of this strap and push it down, and you'll see that that other side is coming out. So you just grab a hold of that and pull that until it comes all the way out. So now it's completely out. Now I'm going to come onto the other side and I'm going to reinstall it over here. So then you will feed this in through here, back out through this side, and feed it up until this little knob down here catches, and now it's caught there. And now you can see how much longer this strap is, so now it will fit over a fat tire. Okay, so we just took the bikes off of the rack, and now if you want to store this rack where it's not just hanging out here and looking like a big eyesore on the back of your RV after you've removed the bikes, you can take these arms, you just push these little buttons, move those in. You can take these straps and you can tuck them back into their locking positions. And just like you did to lower the bikes to get them off, you can push this back up. That'll lock it into a horizontal place, or you can push this again and you can flip the whole bike rack up to get everything out of the way. What we're going to do now, because we're getting ready to go riding, we're going to take the bike rack from the back of the RV and we're going to put it onto the truck, but there's a couple things I wanted to show you first. On our truck, it has a 2.5-inch receiver. So because the bike rack plugs into a 2-inch receiver, you'll have to have this adapter that changes your 2.5-inch receiver into a 2-inch receiver. And you'll also need a locking pin here to lock your sleeve into place. That way, this doesn't come off with the bike rack and it go bouncing down the road. So safety first, you need these two things. We will leave a link in the description of this video below if you want either one of these things. If you already have a 2-inch receiver on the back of your truck, it's no problem, you don't need anything. But if you have a 2.5 or a 3-inch receiver, you will need an adapter to bring that down to a 2-inch receiver. And when you get your rack in the mail and you unbox it, it's not all put together, but it's pretty easy to do. The instructions are not very well written, but if you have any questions, there are lots of YouTube videos on how to actually set this up. But once you get it set up, you can see that it's in a staggered formation. So you'll have one bike facing this way and one bike facing this way opposite of each other. And that's just so that the gears and stuff don't jam against each other in transit. Now when you're loading the bikes, you want to make sure that the front tire is in the big dish and then the back tire is just in the little bitty dish back there. So what I gotta do is I push this button, move that arm out, and then I'll lift it up, get it lined up with the front of the tire, and then I'll hold this button, I'll just push this down all the way, locking onto the front of the tire, and then I'm going to push it down just a couple of clicks just to make sure that that tire is good and locked in. So just run that right through there and then down through there, lock that in, make sure it's nice and tight, give it a shake, make sure the bike isn't going to go anywhere. Another good feature of this rack is that when you have it hooked up to your truck or SUV or whatever the case may be, if you want to get into the back of your vehicle, it's very easy to do. Same as we did to assist us in loading and unloading the bikes. You just grab this little handle, lean it down, one click, like that. Bikes are still secure, and now you can get into your tailgate. And if you need to load, unload any other gear, and you can also, if you have a SUV with the hatchback that goes up, this will clear that also, so you don't have to worry about that. There is another layer of anti-theft security, and it has little cables in here that pull out. That cable will come out, it'll wrap around the tire, and then it'll come back in and lock into itself right here, and there's a little core that you will lock that back into. Unfortunately, our fat tires are so fat that that doesn't work for us, so we have a cable lock that we just lock the bikes together, and then we have the anti-theft device in the knob down there. So we also have a cover that we use to put over. We'll show you that in a little bit. And the cover locks also. So for us, we have 3 different methods of anti-theft. But if you have a small enough bike or small enough tire, you can use this as an added layer of security. We have a cover that goes on it too, yes, which is not only protection, it's weatherproof, but it's also another added layer of security because it can lock at the bottom. Yeah. And we'll show you that too. Okay. But I'll show you up under here. There's a couple of little clips that clip this thing on both sides, and then it has holes on both sides where you can lock this in. So you got a lock on each side there, and then on the inside there you have the lock that locks around both the bikes, and then you have the hitch lock down here that keeps that 2-inch receiver locked into the hitch. So lots of security on this thing. I forgot to put a cable lock on, so Leslie's in there. Hey, what are you doing in there?
None of your business.
Do you need my assistance?
No.
You need me in there?
Absolutely not. I prefer you stay right there.
And this cover is by Team Obsidian.
Yes.
We will leave a link to this also. We'll leave a link to everything that we talked about in the video. If you have any questions, let us know, because we probably didn't do it very well. Our how-tos are more like how not tos, but we wanted to at least tell you about this rack. So if you get nothing else out of it, this rack is RV rated. It will work for electric bikes. It will work without bouncing your electric bikes down the road safely.
Gets the job done. And
you can transfer it from your RV to your truck. That's the gist of it, no matter how terrible the video is. Stick around. It will tell you the funny story about how we almost didn't get a bike rack and there was a bunch of shenanigans. Yeah. We didn't need a bike rack. We wanted a bike rack.
No, we needed Initially, we didn't feel we needed a bike rack. After after what, 2 months?
Yeah, because the setup that we had, we would fold the bikes up, put them in big totes, and then put them in the back seat, fold the back seats down. So we really didn't have a back seat of the truck anymore.
Yeah, by month 2 we were like, we need a bike rack.
Yeah, so
we need the back seat.
We were in Tampa, Florida, and we decided we were going to order this rack because it's the only one we could find that was RV rated, weight rated that we needed.
In stock.
In stock because of Corona, everybody's buying up bike stuff. So it was very difficult to find. So once we found it, we're like, okay, we're buying it. And we only had a few days left in Tampa.
Yeah.
So we said, well, we'll send it to Brooksville. So we called the campground in Brooksville and said, hey, is it cool if we send this big bike rack to you? And they said, no problem at all. So it was like, check first. And so we arrived in Brooksville. We had some other things that were going to be arriving there also.
Yeah.
And so we went to check the mail and got the rest of our mail.
Yeah.
And the bike rack was not there, even though we had already received confirmation.
Notification that it was delivered.
It was delivered, yeah. So
it was delivered that Saturday, and we got there on Tuesday.
So the lady at the office said, well, I don't have the bike rack. And I said, well, it said it was delivered. And then she says, well, sometimes they deliver directly to the site.
Depending on the carrier that it was shipped through.
And I was like, well, why didn't you tell me that when I called and asked if I could have things delivered? Because this is a very expensive bike rack. And I don't want it going to someone else's RV site. I want it coming to me or to the office.
Yeah.
The people who were in the site that we were assigned to were already gone.
Mm-hmm.
And since she didn't have the rack, I assumed that it got delivered to their site. And so I said, hey, can you give them a call and see if they got a bike rack delivered to their site, and did they take it, because it's obviously not here.
And it's obviously not theirs.
Yeah, so if they did take it, they just took it.
Which you know they took it.
Yeah. So she said, no, I can't call them. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? Why? And she goes, I can't call them without a police report. And I was like, that is the dumbest
stupidest thing I've ever heard
of. So I was like, well, okay. So here we
so
go.
We're going to waste the police time.
Yeah, so called the cops.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want to. The cops come out.
Yep.
He shows up, and I said, this is the dumbest thing ever. I really apologize for calling you out here. But she won't even call these people. I told him the whole situation. She won't even call these people without a police report. He goes, well, I'll go talk to her. And I said, well, good luck, because she gives zero.
She really didn't care that we were missing this bike rack.
No, she cared not.
Didn't faze her
at all.
She didn't feel bad for us at all.
No, no. Actually, she acted like we were putting her out.
Yeah.
Like we were
bothering her by asking her to do something.
Yeah. So the cop goes up there, and then he comes back, and he said, look, she did call. I asked her to call. The people didn't answer. She left a message. She said she'll keep trying. He said, I don't think she will.
I know she wasn't.
Because our situation with her, he said, I got nowhere, and she just acted like she don't give a rip at all.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's not really much else that I can do.
No.
So you can call Amazon and see what they can do. So we did. We called Amazon.
Amazon was phenomenal.
Yeah.
They are such great people.
And we said, hey, look, we don't know if it got delivered. We got a confirmation, but it's not here. Here's the situation with the campground and the potential person who was in the site. We don't know if it actually got delivered and stolen, or if it got left at the office, and someone took it from there. We just don't know, or we don't know if it even really got delivered. It probably did.
I'm confident it did.
And probably was stolen in some capacity.
I'm confident it was stolen.
But Amazon was awesome. They said,
not a problem. Sorry for the hassle. We will send you a new one immediately.
And because it's less than $1,000, and we had never filed anything like this before, we don't have a pattern of doing anything like this. They said, we'll take your word for it. We'll send you out another one. And so they did.
Yes.
And they sent it, and we were at the same place. We're going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
So on the day that it was out for delivery, Leslie stayed at the RV, and I went up to the office.
Yes.
And I sat there in the parking lot waiting for this thing.
Because we don't know which one it's going to go to.
And it did come directly to the site.
It did come to the site. And it comes in the Thule box, so it's not...
Yeah, it's not a brown box.
Disguised in any way.
It is the bike rack box.
It says exactly what it is on the box, so I know it was
So since they delivered it to the site that time, that leads me to believe they delivered it to the site the first time, and those people probably stole our bike rack.
And the crappy camper people who took it, I hope they have a blowout on the highway someday. in their whatever they were traveling in.
Yeah.
Because karma will get you.
Yeah. Well, that's not the end of the craziness.
Oh, no. No.
So we open the bike rack and we're going to put it all together to install it.
We're very excited at this point. Like,
Yeah, because we're getting the bikes out of the back of the truck now.
Yeah.
And we get it on, and there's no locks. There's no cores.
Yeah.
Because the cores come separately. You plug that into the little hitch thing on the bottom and into the cables that come out. So those have cores. They're all keyed alike. And you plug those in when you install them.
We had no cords, no key.
Nothing.
No
key.
locking mechanism
Nothing
whatsoever.
at all. So we're like, we can't install the thing because you can't tighten it down onto the hitch. Because it doesn't even have a locking cord to tighten it on. So we can't install it. So now, not only do we have the bikes in the back seat, we got this big bike rack that we have to haul around until we can get Thule to send us the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
We call up Thule. They were very cool about it.
Very, very cool. They were like, give me an address and send it right away.
They sent the cores out, which that's all we thought that we were missing was the cores.
At that time, yes.
So we get the cores, we're like, sweet.
We had it sent general delivery to the post office.
Yeah. So we get that installed and everything, and then we're going to install the trays where the tires sit in, and there's no hardware. There's no screws to go into there. And I'm like,
well,
where's
to keep
this
the
stuff?
end caps on.
Yeah, to keep the end caps, to keep those things from sliding
So
off.
the trays don't fly off. Yeah.
And I was like, man. So then I go back and look through the box of everything, and so there is a hardware kit 1 and a hardware kit 2. Well, our box had 2 of the hardware kit 1s. No hardware kit 2, which includes the locks, the keys, the screws, the end caps, all that stuff.
It's in package 2.
We had no idea we were missing a whole kit, so then we had to call Thule back
Yeah.
and say we're missing the caps. Because I had screws, I could use my
Yeah, we
own
could have
screws,
used our own screws.
which I did to get the things on, but we had to wait for the caps, and then we had to wait again
Yeah.
for those things to come in, so that the canoe-looking things that hold the tires don't just slide off and the bike goes with it.
Yeah.
As you're driving down the highway.
We got this, 2 days before travel day?
Yeah, so it was a
tight
whole big
window.
deal, man. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we got robbed. Thule didn't send us the right stuff.
Well, and the first delivery of the bike rack probably had the proper
Probably had the-
packaging in it.
So if the person wouldn't have robbed us the first time, we probably would have just been good to go. Like we do at the end of all of our videos, we're going to honor a fallen hero. If you want to get involved with us, helping vets out on the road, everything you need to know is down here in the description of the video. I appreciate you watching. See you next time.
Bye.